Space, the final frontier. My name is Captain Foley, and these are my adventures. Captain's Log Stardate 201508.29. Hey everybody, I got about 40 comments, questions, whatever this month, so I'm going to get through those as fast as I can. There's something I want to talk about for you guys, with you guys, and to change things up, it's kind of my regular Trekyards view, but wider, so you guys can see more of what's going on around me, behind me. Alright, so, and fear not, I made sure you guys have the L cars up here so you guys have something to look at besides my ugly face during this whole thing. So first is from our good friend at Trekyards, Josh Spencer. Point defense lasers, question mark. Maybe in the other Octan empires, but not the Alpha powers. Grrr. We're just talking about the point defense weapons from Star Trek that I mentioned in the last Captain's Log. Maybe not point defense lasers, but point defense phasers. I don't know if I misspoke, and that's what he's pointing out, because lasers is all in capitals, so sorry if I did. Next is from Raman Alvarez. Sorry. I'd like to see a Versus series. We would too. Let's put it that way. We're working on it. Benbot. That model looks like it belongs in a museum, but dang, those motors are loud. I know the Polar Lights motors for the TOS 350 scale Enterprise are loud. It's one of the big issues I have with it. But other than that, yeah, it's a great model, and thank you for saying it's museum quality. It's not. I mean, it looks good on film, but when you get up close, you see all the little problems with it. So, and then Josie commented on that and said, in space, no one can hear your electric motors scream. Very interesting point. Yes, that's why there's no sound, and you don't hear the motors in space on the nacelles, because they actually did make sound on the original real Enterprise, but because it was in space, you know, you never heard them. So it is accurate. It is screen accurate with that sound. Next is from John Matthias. That tiny lit bridge on the model is incredible. Thank you. This is my first major lit model that I've done. And the bridge, I used the Paragraphics photo etch kit and the clear bridge that came with the lighting kit to do that. And it turned out wonderfully. And I get a lot of compliments on it. My friend William Mann, actually, that's the reason he became my friend, because he saw that on Facebook and said it was the best TOS bridge he'd ever seen. And since then, we've talked and become good friends. So thank you for that, guys. I did put a lot of work into that model, and I'm really proud of it. So it's from Steve Donahue, sorry. Do either you or the commander read any of the billion Star Trek novels? And if so, are any of them more authoritative when it comes to various ships than others? I've got a bookcase just over there which is full of Star Trek novels. I love Star Trek novels. They're some of the only novels that I actually read because I really enjoy them. As for authoritativeness, there's one I'm reading right now. Oh, I can't recall the title offhand, but it's about talks a lot about the refit as they were doing the refit, ordered by Admiral Probert. And I told Andrew Probert about that when we were talking to him a little while ago, and he was like, oh, I gotta look up that book. I can't recall the title. Just give me 1 second. So after a brief jog upstairs, I got the book. It's Star Trek Department of Temporal Investigations, Forgotten History. This talks a lot about the refit, why certain things were done, talk about the Aztecing, things like that. But at the end of the day, all of these novels, even whatever, are non-canon. And even canon is non-canon. Your canon is what you make it. So whatever you feel is canon, please include that. There are some great books. The Vanguard series is amazing. I take them as one of the best Star Trek series out there. But yeah, nothing's more authoritative than something else, let's say. So hopefully that helps you guys out. And then Commander Calkins commented on Steve Donahue's question, and said, I've read, well, listened to a couple dozen, I believe, all of the William Shatner ones, plus many, many others, several movie novelizations as well. As for your second question, I'll leave that to the captain to answer. No, not America, Foley. Captain America. Ah, got it. Haha. No, I don't have that big of an ego, Samuel. Sorry, it took me a second there. Yeah, the William Shatner ones are pretty good. They're basically done by Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens. Awesome books. And the movie novelizations are always great to read because they add little tidbits that you don't see in the movie, whether they were in the original script or not. Sometimes it's questionable, but it's great little side information for when you watch the movie. You think, oh yeah, in the book this happened, and you kind of explain certain things that happened in the movie. So definitely worth checking out any of the novelizations. Next is from Michael Wedgen. Great log. I love watching, listening to these while doing my dailies on Star Trek Online. Perfect time to do them. I got to get back into playing Star Trek Online, by the way. But won't blather on, but I will say I agree with you completely on the new uniforms for Star Trek 3. They're also reminiscent of the heavier duty Star Trek The Wrath of Khan away mission jackets. We're just talking about the gray uniforms that has been seen in the leaked footage, and I compared it to the away mission uniforms from The Cage that Christopher Pike was wearing. They're similar, I mean, color-wise and whatnot, but I was just trying to play devil's advocate for JJ, so I don't mind the new uniforms. They look kind of cool, and I think that's kind of what he's getting at there. And yes, the heavy-duty Star Trek 2 uniforms for the away mission were kind of insane. The jackets, and they're very cool. Nice change of scenery for Star Trek, I think. Thomas Clark. Hey Captain, just to let you know, the longer the show, the better. Well, I think people might argue with that, but if you want to sit through 40 minutes of me battering on about nothing in particular, that's awesome, and I appreciate all your viewership, guys. Michael Snyder. The good start comment was for when you went from your Star Trek robe to your Star Trek uniform. Okay, because last time he was like, good start in the last episode, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, I started that off with my Star Trek robe on and then went to my uniform, so thank you very much for that. I don't want to scare you guys. I have, opening my robe and, oh yeah, baby. I can't believe I just did that, and I'm not editing that out either. Michael Lohr. Screw the complainers. I usually play catch up on Sundays. I love the live interviews, mission briefings, one-hit wonders, originals, and the full detail episodes, and of course the captain's logs. Usually gives me close to an hour's worth of Trek content from time to time, which is always great. Keep up the great work, as always. Thank you, Michael. I will. I do like your Big E. This is from Common Sense Gun Law. I do like your Big E. That was one awesome model. Thank God he got the right letter of the alphabet after the word big. That's all I'm going to say. But thank you for the compliment. Cuban Writer. It would be fun to see your versus section represented by actual game simulation combat. Indeed it would, or original renders, or even some stills of the battle would be cool. All things that we would like to point out that we've taken into consideration for developing possibly a new show. Moving right along. Ray Anders. Thank you for showing the States class on the last Captain's Log. I hope you saw the deck-by-deck plans. It took 3 years to do, and the Romulan V-75 Firebat battleship. Thank you again. Keep up the great work and great info. No problem. Thank you for sharing, by the way. Donnell Jackson. Hey Captain, if you play Star Trek Legacy, what is your favorite ship to use? Even if it's a mod, what ship do you like the most? Well, I have Star Trek Legacy for the Xbox 360. It's the reason I got an Xbox 360. I was kind of opposed to them at first because I didn't think Microsoft needed more money. But when they came out with the Star Trek Legacy game, I'm like, yep, I need it now. So I got that. I also have it for the computer. Haven't installed it on the computer at all, ever, so I haven't played any mods for it. I'm sure there are some pretty cool ones. If I did, my favorite ship would probably be the TOS Federation class Dreadnought. Other than that, the one that's in the game is the, I can't recall the name of the class right off the top of my head, but the battleship with the 4 nacelles, the TOS style. So that would be my favorite one, I would think. Josie. More Connie trivia. There is an Olympic-sized swimming pool behind the main deflector dish and a bowling alley forward and under of the shuttle bay. Yep. If you check the deck plans for that, you'll see that for sure. There's also like a snack bar and stuff there. It's like a rec deck for everybody. But yeah, the pool's right behind the deflector dish, so it makes you wonder if they're using the particles they're collecting with the deflector to heat the pool or something, or maybe just the power output from this deflector is heating the pool. I have a neat idea. I know deflectors don't necessarily collect things, but I mean, it's a deflector dish. It can be used for other things. So, because I know some of you are probably screaming, it's a deflector, it deflects things, it doesn't deflect things, but it probably can do both. Next is Radical Edward. Also, oh, it's Michael Gardner. I should just say Michael Gardner from now on, Michael. I have that exact HP laptop. He's of course referring to the one behind me, the TX2, HP TX2. So I got a question for you then, Michael. Does yours overheat? Because mine, it gets ridiculously hot, and it's almost, you can't even almost use it on your lap because it gets so hot. Mine's one of the earlier ones, so I think they fixed that issue later on, but I'm just wondering. He goes on to say Gene Roddenberry was inspired by Western frontier shows, hence the name Star Trek. Yes, the Wagon Train to the Stars, as it was called. Then Brian Hyatt commented on this. He says, yep, he pitched it as Wagon Train to the Stars, which is why Kirk's character, which is sometimes malign, is such as it is. Yes, a frontiersman have to make quick decisions, and to hell with the consequences kind of thing. So, Velobter. Kirk looks like Star-Lord, but in blue. We're talking, of course, about the leaked footage from Star Trek 3. Dr. L. In my opinion, a Starfleet captain doesn't. In my opinion, a Starfleet ship doesn't need any extra point defense systems. Remember how fast the main phasers of the Enterprise D were? So the main weapon can be used as a point defense system. True. But that's basically what we're saying, is you can set the phasers to point defense, and they would take out, it's not an extra turret or something, but no, in Starfleet battles, you use your main phasers as your point defense phasers. Same within Star Trek Online, when you're shooting an incoming plasma torpedo, you're using your main phasers. So we're not implying that there's different turrets for the point defense system, nothing like that. So next is from Robert P. That bridge is awesome. Oh, and my model. Oh, thank you. I was like, what bridge? What did I talk about in the last captain's log? Sorry guys, sometimes it takes me a second. But thank you. DAWFYDD DaFid. My lord, I thought the fans who dislike J.J. Abrams' Trek action film using Star Trek names were in hiding from fanboys, but good to see sane people are still around, and I love the Constitution class as well placed, though my preference is the Refit, Excelsior, and Akira. If you choose to do a game, I suggest the Starfleet Command series. It's certainly not perfect, but I personally had a lot of fun in my late teens playing that game in local networks, more than the newer games, which have their draws but don't hold the feel as well. That's true, because Starfleet Command Volume 1, 2, and 3 were based on Starfleet Battles, which is why Starfleet Command games are some of my favorite. I have the mod for Starfleet Command Volume 2 that you can pick any TOS ship. It's a TOS mod, there's a movie era mod, there's a Next Generation mod, there's an all multi-era mod for it, and you just select a different execute file upon startup, and you can get into that. It's on my old computer. I haven't played it in 8 years, probably, but I really miss that mod, and I want to get that computer up and running so I can use it to play that game. And the graphics are incredible, by the way. I don't even know where you can get it, so don't ask. But yeah, the Starfleet Command games were my favorite. I played them with my brother, and as you all know, we're Starfleet Battles fans, and it's a direct computer translation of the board game, or of the tabletop game. So absolutely awesome series. For the RTS, I'd suggest a mod for Homeworld 2. The ships are beautiful but are lacking TOS, but it helped me get over the poor camera angles the Galaxy class suffered from, in my honest opinion. Perhaps because of the studio module being so heavy. Yeah, they couldn't do a lot of different angles with that thing. There were quite a few cool ones in 1 or 2 episodes that I wish they would have explored more or used stock footage of in other episodes, but yeah, I agree. If you want a little more things to talk about, perhaps pointing out easy model kits or pre-made ships for people like me who can't build models for one reason or another. I have a lot of catching up to do to watch. Yeah, I think doing some kind of model review would be cool for me, because I do build models, so I mean I can even go through some of the ones I've built in the past and tell you any problems I have with them, if I can recall any or whatever, and then do future ones where I get one of the new Polar Lights model kits or whatever and go through the build and figure out what's good about it, what's bad about it, blah blah blah. Great suggestions. And there's a few replies to this which might take a while. First is from Brian Height. I still have all 3 of them in the boxes. He's talking about Starfleet commands. I love the first one, and the next 2 seem to have gotten bogged down by too many commands. I disagree. Number 1 had a few problems. I think Starfleet Command Volume 2, Empires at War, is by far the most superior Star Trek starship combat game for the computer ever made. It's coming straight from the captain. Starfleet Command Volume 3 sucked. But anyway. I had Klingon Academy as well, but I never wanted to run past the intro scenario, and then would always go back to Christopher Plummer. I did like the way torpedoes look like comets arcing in, but the weapons controls never seemed to do a good job for defense, and you'd blow up. Seems like a lot of disappointments at the end of a long run. A lot of bugs never got fixed. Never played Klingon Academy, but I've heard it's pretty good. Samuel says he enjoyed it, so you know, it's something I would want to definitely try out sometime. And then Defid responded to that and said, I can understand many games had issues back then, but I didn't have much trouble with Klingons or Starfleet Academy. Thought Starfleet Academy is pretty good too. Thought I held on to the first for years before I had a computer which could run it, LOL. I also had very few running problems on Windows ME, as at the time less crashes than 98 and a much faster reboot. Perhaps I was just lucky at the time. And then it's but wikipedia.org.wiki/Star Trek Starfleet Command is the series. I mean, I don't recall multiplayer for the live movie cutscenes. I was young then and didn't have the internet. Once my schoolmates got computers and we did LAN parties, it was 1999, Star Trek Command was out. I'm not sure what you mean by bogged down by commands, though. I have hazy memory of playing for a few days with those, including key map pieces of paper. Okay, they did have a lot of commands, but that was because it emulated Starfleet battles. So you had drones, you had ECM, electronic countermeasures. You could set the play speed of the game. Just gotta pause for 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. So we go. Seems I got a little mixed up with references to Starfleet Academy. This is the game I held on to for a couple of years before I could play it, perhaps until '99, which was the glorious full-motion video game that led to Klingon Academy, I believe. And then Common Sense Gun Law, sorry, commented, yep, those were the games. I have all 3, but you did need to do the updates. As I recall, a company called Taldrin did them, and then did a swerve after Starfleet Command Volume 3 and abruptly stopped anything. Taldrin did do them, and so they were working with Interplay, I believe, and the reason I think they did a swerve after Starfleet Command Volume 3 was because, like I said, Starfleet Command Volume 3 sucked. There was a large modder community and people who adapted the game engine so they could do all kinds of other things. I bet it is still going on somewhere. It probably is, and if anybody knows, please comment, because I would love to get a version I can play on my new computer with the multi-era mod like I talked about. They build all kinds of modified ships and changed the values so that it was almost a different game. I did get Starfleet Academy, but I also found a video on YT of Klingon Academy that goes through all the movie sequences. Oh, video on YouTube. Yeah. There's a Klingon Academy video on YouTube that goes through all the cutscenes. So if you don't want to play the game, or you haven't seen the game or heard of it, go on there and check out Klingon Academy cutscenes. You should be able to find it. And then Defud, whatever his name is. I hate YouTube names, I really do. Goes on and says, yeah, none of the games were accurate. Cloaking was a burden more than an advantage. I was a modder for Armada 1 and 2. Mostly other games, I did simple changes. Trying to make the galaxy size map and balance ship races. I could manage the second easily enough, but the larger map I got only to work on one of my older computers. The newer ones, Armada 2, always crash loading it, and it wasn't quite big enough. But I did divide areas into small solar systems for starting areas and have richer materials elsewhere where you could have to set up outposts or long convoys. Sadly, there was no way to stop people from making outposts everywhere because convoys of materials were more Trekky. And I just balanced the ships by cost rather than firepower. I'd go off the Federation as a base who had decent shields and weapons at a decent cost. Then Klingons would have less shields and far more firepower and a little more armor. And instead of classing together the galaxy and Negvar, and then the message just drops off. I'm sure this was a pretty long thread. I don't want to get into it all, but yes, those games are all awesome, and yeah. So there we go. Next is from Ashley Bunker. Enjoyed the show as always. The TOS Enterprise looks amazing. One day I may get enough confidence to build one. Looking forward to new Trekyards videos on Saturday. Keep on trekking. Good luck with editing it in the future. But hey, old works like moving the camera. Thank you. Yeah, I do want to get a little more fancy with my editing and add pictures on the screen and stuff. But like I said, I haven't had time to look into that. But yeah. So next is from Thomas Clark. I was thinking for your Trekyard shop, you should sell shirts so we can all be part of your crew. Yes, that's something we're definitely going to look into. But in-universe Trekyard shirt. Interesting idea. I'd have to design a uniform. Next is from Lonnie McAfee. Great Captain's Log. Love the model as well. Please do an episode on Space Dock, Jupiter Station, or regular one. A Jupiter Station episode has already been filmed and is ready to be edited with the designer of Jupiter Station, Rick Sternbach. So expect that sometime in the future. And Space Dock, or Starbase 1, is currently in my to-do list, and I need to write a script for it. I've got most of the information down on rough notes, and yeah, definitely those two. But regular one will be sometime in the future for sure, absolutely. And then Commander Cockings commented on that and said, "You are in luck, winky face." I think I gave away too much. Samuel's probably like, "Oh, Stuart, this is for Trekyards Declassified people." Because you guys, if you join Trekyards Declassified on Facebook, a small donation will get you in there. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. You get all the inside information. You even get to see some episodes early. You get to help us make decisions, but be part of a focus group. So definitely something to look into, guys. Empyrean Frost. You pronounced my YouTube name well, Stuart. And we agree on the New Orleans class. Now my second question. What do you think of the Resurrection class Constitution refit? Patrick S. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. But hold on. Josh Spencer goes on there and says, perhaps there should be a Resurrection class episode. So now I got to look up the Resurrection class. Just went and checked what the Resurrection class refit was, and I feel so stupid now. Yes, awesome design. I love the modernization of it. It's for Star Trek Online. If you haven't seen it or you don't know what the Resurrection class refit is, shame on you for not knowing. You should know these things. Everyone knows. Really? Check it out. Go to Resurrection class Star Trek, and you'll see pictures of it on Google. Great ship, though. I have one in Star Trek Online. Mine's called the USS Diablo. I know, it's not a Federation name. I don't like naming my ship Federation names half the time, so yes, this is the Executioner. My main ship in Star Trek Online. It's a TOS Connie. but we'll get we've talked about that. We're not going to get into that right this time. Next is Galvers, another great vid. Carriers Lads. Now this is something that would be interesting. Carriers in Star Trek and overall carrier operations. Edit. Almost forgot. Captain Foley, sir, you are familiar with the works of Maso Okazaki and his designs from Earth Romulan War. Yes, I am. But carrier operations in Star Trek. A lot of people say, oh, Star Trek wouldn't have fighters, wouldn't have carriers. I think every military organization would. And we are actually doing an episode very soon which might highlight some of those features. That's another in the queue things to do kind of list. Josie goes on to comment on that. Or it's Joisey. So I'm thinking Josie, I don't know. I'm a fan of Masio's work, and I would like to see his stuff featured. Masio has a limited amount of carrier stuff. There's much more from Starfleet battles. Carriers aren't really a big thing in the canon universe. True, but like in Starfleet battles, they are indeed. And in some video games, like Star Trek Shattered Mirror for the PS2, carriers are very important. And then Galvers says, yeah, carriers case start to appear more or less with introduction to the Akira class and the Dominion Wars. In first time I think I did saw a fighter squadron in Federation ordered to Battalier in Dominion War, mainly in Sacrifice of Angels. Of course, they could have transported on cruisers with larger shuttle bays, but maybe there were some dedicated carriers there. Interesting. Sounds like it looks like a job for Trekyards. We need to do some research and maybe give you an episode about that sooner than later. We'll see. Mr. Martacci, great episode as always. Your models are so amazing. I can see them being in Captain Foley's ready room on his dreadnought. Wow, thank you. This might be something that happens. Who knows? A show about some kind of tactical simulation in any kind of game or mod or whatever would be great, if it is possible to do so. I always liked the Versus part of the older Trekyards episodes. This could be even better. Yes, the Versus was always fun to do, and we did have to phase that out just because of production. You know, videotaping something, editing it, and having it ready by a certain date. Sometimes we need to shuffle things around, and so the Versus didn't actually work because we ended up doing... It was always the ship we just did versus the next ship we were going to do, which was always fun because it was some odd matches sometimes. But yeah, it is something that we would like to bring back in some capacity. Excuse me. So please keep an eye out for that. We are working on a few things. So the leaked footage. Well, JJ Verse is definitely not my favorite version of Starfleet design, but I have to say, some of these uniforms always look really good to me. This new leaked one, I definitely like a lot. It seems just appropriate, at least as an away uniform. I never understood why they kept going on outside missions in those regular uniforms, even when there were sandstorms or rain or anything else on the hostile planets. This one looks far better, like something for outside duty. It does indeed. P.S. Those patches are awesome. I love Starfleet patches, even though in canon I don't get to use them that often, if any at all. Alright, so 3 more comments, guys. Sorry for making you wait through all this. So, Barbara Cipher. I know you've done 1 or 2 before, but I'd like to see more behind Trekyards episodes. What do you and Samuel do when you're not Trekyarding? Is Samuel single? Wink. And what happened to his couch? The voyeur in me wants to know. And if Stuart is Canadian, why does he have such a strong U.S. accent? He doesn't say a boot. I don't say a lot either. I say Okay, so let's break this down. You'd like to see more behind Trekyards episodes. You know, that's a great idea. I wouldn't mind doing a episode about how an episode is made, from research to finished product. I think that'd be a lot of fun, actually. So it's something we might do as an official Trekyards episode, or I might just break it down myself and show you some of the references and materials I use for research, how I make my notes, then how I write the script, and then how it gets sent off to Samuel, blah, 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 back and forth. Kind of an episode on the making of an episode, I think would be very cool. So great suggestion there. What do we do when we're not Trekyarding? Well, Samuel, he is a filmmaker by trade, so he does editing, script writing, filmmaking, things of that nature. Sorry, I keep having to pause the video because I notice my L-cars back here keeps shutting down on me, which is really irritating, so I might have to change that. The iPad seems to be having a few issues with that. So yes, that's what Samuel does. I am a private investigator. I specialize in a specific field, basically identity theft. So I'm an independent contractor. I do a lot of work from home, and I do a lot of interviewing. That's pretty much the limits of my exciting day. So yeah, there's that. Is Samuel single? Well, I'll let Commander Calkins comment on that. And as you can see, my L-car has just crashed again. So I'm going to fix that for the final time and make it something that won't do that again. Be right back. In 3, 2, 1. Presto! It's pretty generic. It's going to do that for the whole thing, but yeah. Sorry. Technology, I tells you. Alright, is Samuel single? Well, like I said, I'm going to let the commander comment on that himself, should he choose to. But I gotta warn you, Samuel, she is on my Facebook, and she comments on a lot of my stuff. She's a little crazy, so be careful. I'm just kidding. I love reading your comments. Now, what happened to this couch? That's something I'd like to know too, actually. Is the couch still around, Samuel? And if Stuart is Canadian, why does he have such a strong U.S. accent? I don't know. I didn't realize I had a U.S. accent. But thank you, I guess. And I'm not the stereotypical Canadian. Hey, I got to tell you about something. It's lots of snow, don't you know? No. Sorry, moving right along. Sam Guatney? Captain, we know the great experiment did not work, but is there any details on transwarp experiment? Kirk out. Alright, well here's my little bit of Star Trek trivia for this episode. The transwarp experiment was a failure. What the transwarp experiment had tried to do was to use the transporter in conjunction with the warp engine. So you would beam your nacelles, not physically per se, but you would slightly beam the nacelles just slightly ahead of their current position, so that in theory, like within the warp bubble, so in theory, the ship would need to move faster to catch up to them. That's the basic layman's theory of how transwarp was supposed to work. There's a much more detailed explanation, which probably is a Star Trek technology episode all in itself, but that's the main gist of it. Use a transporter in conjunction with the warp engines to beam the engines ahead of the ship, so the ship has to move faster to catch up to them, hence making transwarp faster. Kind of in a transwarp corridor-ish kind of thing, because you need to do it within the confines of the warp bubble. I don't know. It's complicated and techy, and I'm sure somebody out there knows, and they're screaming at me right now, and please leave a description of how it works in the comments below. Hopefully Mike Akuda isn't watching this, because he would be like, oh, you're so stupid. This is how it works. And yeah, I don't blame him, because he's the man and he knows everything. So I would love to speak with Mike Akuda, which actually we have been in contact with them, and they're too busy to currently do the show. They are aware of the show. They enjoy the show, they said, but you're not going to see them as a guest star anytime soon, because they are very busy people, both Michael and Denise. Denise actually emailed me quite a while ago, because we had requested that they be special guests on the show. So if you guys know Michael and Denise Akuda and want them on the show, please, by all means, send them messages saying Trekyards would be awesome, you should be on Trekyards. That would be helpful for me. Just don't harass them or make them hate us, because that'd be awful. But anyway, yes, transwarp, there you go. Sorry, I just keep jumping topics today. Last one is from Soltic2. Hi Stuart, I have a book for you to see if you have it or not. I have a book for you to see if you have it or not. It's called Ships of Starfleet Volume 1 Revised. This book has tons of pictures and background info, the TOS and refit Constitution classes. They even have made a few new Enterprise 2 class starships. It's a must-see if you can find it or already have it. It's a hard one to find. It's hard to find one of those books though, Ted. I haven't seen it. I don't have it, but yeah, it sounds like something that's completely up my alley. I would love to. I need to take a look on eBay and whatnot if I can find one. Anyone out there has one that wants to sell it, let me know. I would be more than happy to help you guys out with that. Alright, so we got a few things we need to talk about today. First, I got to address the Renegades issue. Star Trek Renegades is out. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it. Some people are like, eh. For me, personally, I enjoyed it. I would recommend that you watch it a few times, because you pick up, it gets better and better with every viewing. As you learn, as you pick up things you missed, the story makes a lot more sense upon multiple viewings. And you got to keep in mind, a lot of people say it was badly written, or bad acting, or bad effects. The effects weren't bad. I thought the effects were pretty good. The writing could have used some tweaks, and the actors, I think, did a great job with, most of them did a great job with the parts they were given. So I have no complaints in those regards. I mean, like I said, you watch it a few times and you learn to appreciate it a bit more. So I would suggest that to anybody. Just watch it a few times before you really make any harsh judgments on it. And you got to understand, they filmed this thing with a budget that would barely cover catering for like an episode of a regular TV show. And to top it off, they only filmed it within it took 2 weeks to film, 2 weeks. So they crammed a feature length, a movie, in a 2-week filming session, which is amazing to me. So they did some incredible work with what they were given. You need to take all that into account before you make any harsh judgments on a show like that. So please just keep that in mind. Plus, it's Star Trek. You gotta love it. You just have to. So I had a question. I do, like I said, I take notes for research and reference materials, and I have books that have just writing in them. Here's an example here. This is my Star Trek Treknology book. So it's just pages upon pages of raw information that I've collected from my various sources on different ships. Or this is Treknology, so Treknology episodes. Communicators starts here. This was transporters, whatever. Yeah, so there's pages upon pages of raw material. My question to you guys is, would anybody be interested in those as a giveaway? Keep in mind, it's research material, so it's all chicken scratches and very sloppy because it's being written really fast. But if anybody would be interested in those raw materials for a perk or a giveaway or anything, let me know. It's something I've considered doing, but I've been told by a few people that it might not be something that anybody's interested in. So I'm just putting it out there to ask you guys what you think. So if you could do that for me, that'd be great. Now for the main reason we're here, which I probably shouldn't have kept to the end of the show because a lot of people have already tuned out. But it's going to be in the tagline of the thing, so please, if you've stayed this long, thank you. And if you haven't stayed this long, or if you haven't stayed this long, you're not watching this. No. We're doing another video about it later today to release officially, so everybody will know about it. But anyway, Patreon information. We want to do a Patreon. Now, what that is a monthly subscription service. You help us make our show. We want to spend more time on this show, so we want it to be more beneficial for us to do the show. We would love to spend more time on the show. We would love to take more love, put more love into it, and just give you guys a better product. But you know, we got to take time away from our real lives to do that. So Patreon would really help us out. What you do is you go and you subscribe, and it's like $1, $5, $10, whatever you can afford a month to help us make our content. Now we've put this out there in the Trekyards Declassified group. as, what do you guys think? We had a few responses. People were like, I would definitely donate, you know, $10 a month, no problem. Love what you guys do. I wouldn't even need any perks, things like that. It's kind of like an Indiegogo. That way you get perks with a monthly membership. But people are like, you've already produced a lot of great content. You're going to continue to produce great content or greater content with the help that we'd be giving you. So I don't even need any perks. Just the fact that you guys I can help you guys out is more than enough. But I just wanted to go over a few things that we thought about for perks. So I'm not going to give you any of the donation levels yet, because we haven't really worked those 100% out, but they're very cheap. They're very, for a monthly thing, it's a monthly thing, so you got to take account that every month you're going to be contributing to the show, so it's not just a one-time lump payment. So, you know, that might be up people, some of your alleys, you know, it might be something that would help you out financially, instead of donating like $40 or $50 or more to an Indiegogo campaign. That one large sum seems like a lot. And then if you break it down, not so much. So we've thought of doing a digital podcast library where we convert all of our shows to audio format, because a lot of people I've heard, and they tell me that they listen to the show, they don't really watch the show per se. I mean, there's always interesting visual stuff on screen, especially in a regular Trekyards episode where we're talking about a specific part of the ship or whatever. But we're thinking of releasing an audio podcast listing, so you can just listen on your phone when you're jogging or whatever. I mean, you can do that with these videos too, but it's something that people have requested in the past, so we're considering doing that. Also a monthly digital poster, which would be cross-universe, so it can be like Star Trek ships flying with Star Wars ships, or the TARDIS and Battlestar Galactica, something. But we'll try to have a Trek ship in every poster, but something new digital every month for a certain level, which you guys can download and print off in super high quality resolution, or you can just use it as a desktop wallpaper background, something like that. So there's gonna, like I said, there's gonna be different donations amount: $1, $2, $5, $10, $15, $20. And if people are crazy, and we've seen this with other Patreon campaigns, some people donate $50, $100, $150 a month to some things that they really love if they have the excess cash. So that'd be great too. So those perks, those levels are going to be there, and if you guys can do that, that'd be awesome. I mean, ideally, $2,000 to $3,000 a month. If we could make that off of this and split that up between Samuel and I, we could spend so much more time on it that we could create a lot better content. There's a new project in development, and it's in its very early stages, which it's a narrative Star Trek project, and there's going to be a specific Facebook page for that, which if you donate at a certain monthly level, you can get in on it like super early and learn things as they happen with it. We're building a great team for it, and you already know our special guest lineup, so you can just imagine who's involved with this project. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that a large, substantial chunk of our special guests are involved in this project, so it's something you guys can really look forward to. And that's our in-universe project that I've been kind of referring to here and there, which, you know, you mentioned the Captain's Ready Room earlier and what kind of models might be in there. That kind of made me think, and Starship, the USS Executioner might be involved, the Dreadnought, I don't know, we'll see. We don't know what's going on yet. Well, actually we do, we have a pretty good outline, but we don't want to give too much of it away. But it's something that's going to be exciting, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be new and interesting, and we've got a lot of great people signed up for it, and a lot more on the way, hopefully. So it's something that we're super excited about, and we know you guys are going to really love. But I mean, if you want to get in on that and learn about it, please, you can donate and learn, you know, get things as they happen, instead of kind of like, oh well, wait months for any kind of news. So also, the Trekyards Declassified site was going to be offered to people at one of the lower levels, so that you guys can get in on that and become part of the poll, become part of the process of Trekyards, where we ask you guys questions, and you're our focus group. You give us your opinion, etc., etc. So couple Facebook groups are perks for this. All of the Trekyards Declassified people we already have that have donated to the Indiegogo campaign are going to automatically be grandfathered into the new Facebook group, just as a goodwill gesture, because you guys have helped us out immensely with that Indiegogo campaign. So we want to help you guys out too by including you in something great that we know you're going to love. And I think that's about it, guys. Like I said, the Patreon thing is going to be announced very shortly. We're going to be doing a video of the main Patreon announcement later today, Samuel and myself, and we're going to get that set up and ready to go, and then hopefully you guys can definitely help us out, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. What kind of perks would you like to see, maybe? If you want to leave a comment below, or go into the Trekyards Facebook group and just mention that you saw the captain's logs and you had some ideas for perks, that would really help us out, because we're in the process of setting that up, and probably within the next week it'll be done. So please, 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 please go and help us out. We greatly appreciate it, and we definitely look forward to hearing from you. And I am rambling on and on and on and on and on, and my nose is really shiny because this light's right here. Wow, I hope that wasn't distracting the whole time. Anyway, so yeah, a new view. It's not going to be like this all the time. I'm going to try to change up the views for the captain's logs. I know this is the favorite one with these two monitors here, but we're going to see how it goes. One of the captain's logs soon might be with my Camaro. I need to do some more work on the Camaro later today. So there's more to the captain than just Star Trek. And look at R2-D2's being a creeper over here. And then, yeah, ooh, check that out. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. This is Captain Foley signing off. Till next time. Bye, guys. Thank you for watching. I love you so much. Trekyards. Check it out. Bye.